All right, morning, everybody. Let me know that you can hear me. Welcome on in. Good to see everybody in here. Moon Pie. I saw somebody said they were first. Who was first? Moon Pie was first. Huey was second. Shadow's Daily Adventure tied for second. So good to see everybody in here on a Monday morning. Welcome on in. John on YouTube is in here as well. Good morning. Crazy weekend. Yeah, I guess it was a crazy weekend. Oh, well, it was weird for me because I had no idea this was all going on. I hate to say. It wasn't until I got back to New York. Because I don't know if you've ever been to Vermont. Good morning, AZ Mikey. Good morning. Amy, good morning on YouTube. Deborah on Facebook. Good morning. Sean on YouTube. Jennifer from Tennessee on Facebook. Tanita Samuels, good morning on Facebook. Ellie on YouTube. Good morning, everybody. If I missed anybody. If you ever been to Vermont, man, oh man, I'll tell you, some pretty places up there, but I don't know how people go up there when there's no cell phone service anywhere. I mean, there is no cell phone service almost anywhere. You can't get a signal. My son was at times texting me. I couldn't even return the text. It was amazing. So I had no idea what was going on until I got back to New York yesterday. I had no idea until I finally settled back in. I removed myself from politics for 4 days. And I had no idea this had happened down at the golf course, Trump International down in West Palm Beach. Just amazing. I had no idea what was going on until I got home last night. So crazy weekend. Good morning, Laura from Wisconsin. Good morning. Iris on Facebook. Good morning, Michael on YouTube. Good morning, Rosemary on Facebook. Sandy on Facebook. Good morning, Facebook. Wherever you are, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, thumbs up, whatever platform you're on. Subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that. Hope everybody had a good weekend. I had a nice weekend away and then came back to find out everything that was going on. So I'm excited to get back tonight to the show. Obviously lots to talk about. Kamala Harris gave this interview, finally, to some local reporter. Vin sent me the video right away and said this is a must play on the show tonight. So I haven't even watched it. I guess I've seen people commenting that it's pretty much what you'd expect from her, as she was obviously finally given time to talk. And the word salads a cometh, I guess. I haven't watched it yet. Deborah, glad you're back. Thank you on Facebook. Good morning. Dana Williams, notice this doesn't happen to Democrats. Somebody's paying these people. Well, you know, I mean, we might as well start there. Because in the little time that I've had to look into what's going on, man, it's hard not to get like Lee Harvey Oswald vibes from this guy, right? Like, how does anybody claim that this guy was some loner, given the fact pattern that we are, the small fact pattern that we already have in this attempted assassination on the president again? Well, first of all, let's do what we normally do here. Let's take a look at the let's take a look at your markets right now. Dow futures up 92, S&P futures down 5.5, NASDAQ futures down 96, oil up a smidge, U.S. 10-year down a smidge. Obviously, big week for central banks. We'll see what the rate cut is. If there's a rate cut, we all assume pretty much that there is. It's whether it's 25 basis points, 50 basis points from the Fed. Apple shares down this morning. Obviously, that's going to carry down the NASDAQ. But as it says here, big week for central banks around the world as interest rate cuts are on the table pretty much everywhere. The two-day meeting for the Fed gets underway tomorrow. Obviously, we'll take center stage. And what people are always trying to figure out at these moments is the Fed cutting too late? Usually they are. And as if it's 25 basis points or it's 50, and if it is 50, does that signal that there's bigger problems to come? That recession is here, unemployment's going to be going up? Or do we cut 25 and they try to convince us that they're still on a path to some kind of soft landing, if that's even possible at this point? I doubt that it is. Traders currently see a quarter-point cut as the most likely outcome, although as many as 41% anticipate a half-point move. And the half-point move would either send markets a lot of uncertainty, which they do not like, or they would have to do a very good job explaining on what it is why a half-point move, why rip the Band-Aid off right away, when they've continually made the claim that the consumer's holding up, job market's strong, unemployment's only up a fraction, jobs numbers, although they missed, were still strong. So they paint a picture of a strong economy, and yet if we get a 50 basis point rate cut, people are going to say, what do they know that we don't know yet that's coming in these numbers? Is the unemployment rate going to shoot up to 4.5, 5? What's going on? So very interesting week. I suspect markets will probably trade down or sideways in preparation for what they're going to hear. And markets do not like uncertainty, and I think this is pretty much a week of uncertainty until Wednesday. Bank of Japan delivers its latest rate decision on Friday. So as we head into a cutting phase here, it'll be interesting to see what happens this week. 25, I would think, is where we're going to start. But, last time we were here, it took really 3 rate cuts for the markets to really feel like, okay, we're going back into some kind of quantitative easing. And then you saw asset prices start to move. I don't suspect 1 here or even 2 is going to do much. If anything, I think markets probably trade down in the estimation that maybe there's bigger problems that we don't know about yet, especially if we get a 50 basis point rate cut in September. But all of that interesting if you're into watching the markets and seeing what happens this week. So again, Dow futures still up now at 104, NASDAQ down 93. Part of that, obviously, Apple shares in decline, so we'll watch that. But getting back to Trump and this assassination attempt, you get real Lee Harvey Oswald vibes from this guy, kind of seeing what we know about him so far, his involvement with Ukraine, mercenaries, and other things like that, which we'll get into here. But the thing you have to ask yourself, is there any other administration other than a Joe Biden out to lunch, who knows who's in control, Kamala Harris way in knee deep over her head in this whole job? Is there any other administration other than this one that would be treating 2 assassination attempts on a former president in a matter of months the way this administration is totally out to lunch with what's going on? We've heard almost nothing from Joe Biden. Who knows if he even knows what's going on? They say he does. I don't know. Kamala Harris, way over. I mean, she tweeted, I'm glad that he's okay. Okay, whoop-de-doo. We all tweeted at some point, we're glad he's okay. What does that mean? Nothing. You're the vice president of the United States. The president of the United States, nobody knows. Has the president of the United States called the attorney general, called the Homeland Security Department, called the director of the... Has he had anybody in the Situation Room and saying, as you would think any other administration would do, and saying, this shit needs to stop, and I need to know what we're going to do about it, and I need to know in the next 12 hours? Well, no, he has not. He's not even capable of calling the meetings, nor do I think he wants to call the meetings, nor do I think any of them even care. Nor do I think anyone in the media even cares. We saw what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, whatever that was ago. The rhetoric lasted about 48 hours before they were back to calling him Hitler, dehumanizing him over and over and over and over again. They got right back to it. It was like they memory hold it. We didn't even want to listen to it. We didn't want to talk about it. And here we are again. And we can get into the minutia of who's to blame, how this happens. But where is the administration? Where is the president of the United States? Where is the attorney general? Where is somebody out in front of a camera saying, this is going to stop, we're going to get to the bottom of it? I mean, there's just absolutely there's no concern. When you dehumanize someone to the point that they've done that, it just comes across as cold, callous, and maybe, you hate to say it. Maybe this is what they want. I don't know. But it's hard to imagine, and I don't care if it's Democrat or Republican, it's hard to imagine any other administration other than with somebody at the top who's, literally at the beach out to lunch, that this could go on to a former president and current leading to be president again. And there seems to be no motivation inside the current administration to even put on the public face of, you care about this, and you're going to get to the bottom of it, and you're going to make sure this doesn't happen again. And we're hearing from nobody. We're not hearing from the president. We're not hearing from the vice president. We're not hearing from the attorney general. We're getting some local FBI official or whoever the guy was that I saw. And again, I haven't spent probably as much time on this as I should have to talk about, but I know the basics. I saw a press conference being given by some guy who was not the president, who was not the vice president, who was not the attorney general, who was not the Homeland Security, was not at the CIA, was not at the FBI, was not a Secret Service. He was some local Florida official telling us this, that, and the other thing. And who cares? We don't want to hear from you. We want to hear from somebody who's in charge. So that is greatly concerning. You look at, I'll tell you what else is greatly concerning is if you just look at, let me see if I can share this. So this is South Congress Avenue in West Palm Beach. And right here is this line of whatever these bushes or trees are that grow in Florida that line the golf course where President Trump was playing. And you can move your way down here and you can see it pretty much stays consistent. But when you come down to this end, oops. As you can see right here, this would be the golf course. So, and I think if I zoom in here, you can see the chain link fence. And again, if you're going to have the president of the United States playing a course that comes within this close to this road, and this is a section of the course, and I'm assuming the president plays here quite often, how is this left like this? How is this left like this? I mean, this is the road to Trump where the president was playing, and this is a section off this main road. It seems kind of crazy. So what do we know about this guy? Neighbors of him said he was a little cuckoo. A lot of people were afraid of him. Here's this Sheriff Rick Bradshaw, Palm Beach County, Florida Sheriff's Office. I'm sure he's a nice guy. But after 2 attempts on a former president's life and the leading candidate to be president again, we don't want to hear from Sheriff Rick Bradshaw. And again, I'm sure he's a nice guy. We salute all police officers every night on this show. But we have no interest in hearing from him. Where is somebody in authority in this administration that can tell us why this is going on and how they're going to put a stop to it? So what do we know about Ryan Wesley Routh, 58? He's identified as the suspect who was arrested after allegedly pointing an AK-47 assault rifle at former President Trump at his golf course. According to law enforcement, Trump was golfing at the time. Routh was spotted several holes ahead of Trump. And again, if you look, here's this road right here that I just showed you. And right over here, down here in this lower right-hand corner, is that spot where the chain link fence opening is. And I mean, you see all those trees here lining this road, but there's that spot right here that's totally left out. I mean, it just seems wild that that is left there. And it actually seems wild that the whole, I mean, how hard is it to get into the middle of these bushes and get out right onto the line of this hole right here? I can't imagine it could be too hard to climb through those and to get in there. 12 hours ago, Biden speaks following attempted Trump assassination, no place for political violence. I mean, that's the best he can give us. Task force investigating Trump's first assassination bid requests briefing. Would-be Trump assassin ID'd as Ryan Wesley Routh. Pictures of would-be assassin's backpack and gun released, leaning right up against that chain link fence. Trump assured us he's safe and well. The alleged shooter mounted a GoPro on the fence and was intent on filming what would have been the murder of the former president. Martin County Sheriff William Snyder described the suspect as having a calm demeanor after being apprehended by law enforcement. All these guys always have 3 names, and they always look the part. A neighbor of Ryan Wesley Routh in Greensboro, North Carolina, speaking out saying she always thought the alleged gunman next door was a little cuckoo. I mean, I didn't think he'd go that far. I knew he was a little cuckoo, but assassinating the president? I mean, he's going to be going away for a long time. Okay, well. The woman who lived next to Routh for 2 decades claims her former neighbor had a lot of guns and a lot of people were afraid of him back in the day. So that's from the New York Post. More importantly, over at the Blaze, the X profile apparently belonging to Ryan Routh, who police say is the man preparing to shoot former President Trump, shows his support for President Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, and Ukraine in the war against Russia's invasion. You should visit the victims in the hospital of the Trump rally victims and attend the funeral of the fireman that died. Trump certainly never would. Show the world what real leaders do, Routh apparently told Biden on X after the first attempted assassination in July. You and Biden should visit the injured people in the hospital from the Trump rally and attend the funeral of the murdered fireman. Trump will never do anything for them. Show the world what compassion and humanity is all about, he allegedly wrote. Similarly told Harris the same day. Routh has apparently posted about how democracy is on the ballot. Oh, does that sound familiar? I wonder where he came up with that after hearing it 19,000 times from every Democrat who goes on every left-wing poisoned show that goes on. Democracy is on the ballot. Democracy is on the ballot. He's a threat to democracy. When you dehumanize someone to the point that they continue to dehumanize, there's no value in the man's life. David Sachs, democracy is on the ballot and we cannot lose. Routh fully imbibed the MSDNC cocktail of hate. That's exactly right. Facebook deleted Routh's reported Facebook account shortly after law enforcement confirmed him to be the primary suspect. Meta has already scrubbed the Facebook page of the would-be assassin Ryan Routh. Watch it disappear in real time. As Blaze News previously reported, law enforcement sources reportedly said that an AK-47 had been recovered along the tree line of Trump's golf course in West Palm Beach. President Trump is safe for now. And of course, that's the point. He's safe for now. How does this end? Let's go over here and see what we're talking about. Well, that's exactly what we just said. Again, when you dehumanize someone to the point where they've done to Trump, there's no value in the man's life. These lunatics who listen to Joy Reid and listen to Keith Olbermann and listen to these people over and over spout how this guy's a threat to democracy, the country's going to end, he's going to become a dictator day one. I mean, what do they expect these people to end up doing? No sound on the clip? No sound on the clip. Huh? Okay. And let me try again. How about now?
Is because he's saying all these wacko things that he got from people who are politicians who are running campaigns. And
Can
obviously,
you hear
wackos, crazy people aren't going to go away just because you get rid of certain politicians. But for God's sake, why don't it's imperative that we run campaigns that are based on real issues and stop calling somebody Hitler when he's not Hitler. Talk about dog whistles. It's a dog whistle to crazy people. And in no way am I suggesting that anybody wanted this to happen, but it's imperative on all of us, but especially politicians and elected officials, to actually talk about things that matter and actually run adult campaigns. Because if you do, then the wacko people aren't going to get attracted to it. But sadly, that's where our politics is today. And we have all of this insane rhetoric from the president, the vice president, and I suppose people, some people on both sides of the aisle, but it's really glaring right now from Democrats.
A suspect like this, Paul, likely to talk?
Yeah, I know that's the big question. The story now is that he's not talking, et cetera. But I wouldn't be surprised if he does, because things like this that are ideologically driven, like terrorism, for instance. As I said last night, very often these guys, the problem is not getting them to talk, it's getting them to shut up, because they want to get their...
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, Charlie Hurd is right on the money. And the rhetoric is, as we said, it didn't last too long after the first attempt. They didn't want to talk about it. They went right back to the same old tropes that they've used about him being Hitler, about this, about that, about him being a threat. And this is, again, the result of it. Some whack job finds an opportunity to try to take him out and go down in the history books. Good morning, the fourth on YouTube. Good morning. Sheila Allen says they will do anything to keep RFK Trump from finding out what the commies have done. Good morning, Betsy. Good morning, everybody. Get to some of your comments here as well. I dare go around and see what else the talk is. I'm sure this is not even. Oh, see, this is, here you go. This is what they're talking about on CNN.
Xenophobic, ignorant, and quite frankly, non-factual.
We're still talking about Pets and J.D.
about
Vance,
a group of individuals. It is something we should all be calling out. The mayor has called it out. The city manager has called it out. I don't know how much more we have to do to elevate the fact that Haitian migrants, Haitians in general, Black people aren't eating people's pets anywhere in America. This is ignorant. It is xenophobic. It is racism writ large, run by somebody whose campaign is determined to create divisions across this country, particularly those on racial lines.
And Lonnie, you are.
This is what's passing for news this morning on CNN. This is what they're talking about. They're trying to turn this into a racial issue. The Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio. Now, they're not focused on the fact that they're there. They don't deny that they're there, which in enough is a problem. They don't deny that the population of Springfield, Ohio is now overtaken by illegals in the country. No, they'll argue actually that whether they're illegal or not, because, and if you watch J.D. Vance on with Dana Bash, who really has shown herself to be nothing more than just a propagandist in a pantsuit sitting in front of a camera. She's in no way represents any kind of journalistic integrity at all. She has none. She is only there to push her ideology. And J.D. Vance gave her a masterclass in how not to deal with it once again on Sunday, as he did Kristen Welker on Sunday as well. I didn't see the entire Kristen Welker piece, but I saw most of what he did on CNN. And he knows exactly how to not take their false pretenses, flip it around, and then attack them in the way that they should, in the way he should. J.D. Vance continues to not fall for this nonsense when he goes on these interviews. But, I mean, the media, the news, does not want to even... They want to turn this Springfield, Ohio thing into a racial thing. They don't want to talk about the fact that you can't dispute that the numbers are there. They just want to focus on the pet eating part of it. They don't want to focus on what Biden and Harris are doing, letting these people into the country, moving them all around the country into the states where they need them, these swing states for votes. I saw somebody put out a report of the numbers of illegals that are getting moved into swing states. There's a reason for that. They want to see that pay dividends come November 5th. That's what they're doing. Morning, everybody. On YouTube, make sure you hit the like, subscribe. If whatever platform you're watching on this morning, hit the like and subscribe. So yeah, that's it's very disturbing. The most disturbing thing is that we're getting nothing from this administration, or even faking their way to making it look like they care, or that there's anything that they're going to do to make sure that this man's protected from now through the election. Because mostly we know that they don't really care. If one of these two had succeeded, they would have put on their fake outrage for about 24 hours, and then they would have moved on. They would have moved on. So, all right. So that's about it. I'm not sure what else is going on. I had a good weekend. Hope you guys did as well. Heard the boys on Thursday night were great. Vinnie Mac's going to join us tonight on the show. Thank you, Gary. Thanks for watching. See what other comments here. Vance did shut her up. If you haven't seen J.D. Vance on CNN, take a look. It was good. He was good. Let's see. Daryl King says, saw Slick was at the warehouse. Yep, I guess he was. I don't know, what was that, Friday or Saturday? I think they had an event at the warehouse both days, Friday and Saturday. Rob Jackson says, I haven't watched mainstream media for years. I only follow the conservatives online, such as this show. Thank you very much. Buzzard says, you think security would be increased for Obama if he had been shot at? Well, any current sitting president, you would think. I mean, you think for the Secret Service 2 times in a couple months. I mean, it's just so unacceptable. And again, that's why in any other administration, if this were a Democrat twice and Trump was in office, I guarantee you Trump would have every leader of every department, because he knows how it makes the administration look. That a former and current running mate, even if it was a Democrat, he would have every single person in the Situation Room saying, I want to report. I want to know what's going on. I want to know how we're going to stop it. And I want to know in the next 4 hours or you're all going to be fired. And that's how he would deal with it. That's how any reasonable president of the United States, vice president, attorney general, FBI director, director of Homeland Security would handle this situation. They would have people who are competent out in front of a microphone telling the American people what's going on, what the president's doing to lead the way, what he's doing to get to the bottom of it, and what they're doing to stop it. And we are getting nothing but a tweet from the vice president saying, I'm glad he's okay. And a press briefing from some local sheriff in Florida who, I'm no offense to him, is doing his job, on what's going on. That's it. Sheila, thank you. You too. Well, it's going to get coverage tonight because we're going to talk about it. Vin sent it to me right away and said this is a must play on the show. And of course, tonight will be my first night back on the show since he sent it to me. So we'll take a look at it and take some moments out of it and talk about it tonight. I heard it was a real doozy. Boy, isn't that the truth. I think more and more people are doing that. If you haven't already, most people are now just watching what they choose through some streaming device or on YouTube or wherever else. Correct. Biden sits at the beach, has no problems. Let's hear what's going on over here.
So meanwhile, the House panel investigating the Trump assassination attempt released this. We have requested a briefing with the U.S. Secret Service about what happened and how security responded. We remain deeply concerned about political violence and condemn it in all of its forms. Joining us now, Chairman of House Assassination Attempt Task Force, Mike Kelly, and Ranking Member Jason Crow. Gentlemen, thanks for being here, and thank you for cooperating on this to get protection for the candidates, but also for helping get answers. Mike Kelly, you can't hear me at the moment. So Jason Crow, if you can hear me, tell me about your initial reaction yesterday. And this comes as the Butler investigation is still underway.
Yeah, that's right. Well, first off, Mike and I just unequivocally condemn this most recent attempt, is what it looks like. Political violence has no place in our country, and Republicans and Democrats must come together and say this is unacceptable. This should never happen. You don't need to be one side of a party or another to condemn this. You know, we settle our issues with debate and discourse in America, and we really have to focus on that, and every leader needs to be very clear about it.
Congressman Kelly, the New York Post editorial headline says, why hasn't the Secret Service given Trump the security he plainly merits? Do you have an answer for that?
Well, the only answer I can give you is the answer that, as Jason and I have listened, especially last Thursday, they claim they don't have enough personnel that they can put in place. Look, going forward,
I mean,
I think we're at a point
that is
where
such
it's not about
crap.
Republicans and Democrats. This is about America.
They don't have
We've
enough
reached a point
resources.
right now
We're
where the
$6
rhetoric
trillion
has hit
in debt
a
under this
fever pitch. And when
administration.
we
They
look
don't
at
have enough
the similarities,
resources.
first of all,
We're
the
sending
event in
money
Butler
to
was a
every
public
city
event.
that's housing illegals.
I mean, we had 25,
millions and
30,000
hundreds of millions of
people
dollars. We don't have
when
enough
the president's playing
resources
golf at
to get human
Trump
bodies
International.
protecting the former president.
How does that shooter know that the president's going to be there that day? In Butler, everybody knew he was coming, and the preparation was not put in place. It should have been put in place. So now we go to Florida, and he does have Secret Service around him, but it's not a public event. And the question is, how do these people, whoever these shooters are, deeply down,
It's not a bad question at all.
How do they make a decision to act that way on that day? It's completely different, but it is the same idea.
Congressman Crow, what do you think about Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, saying that the Florida government will also conduct an investigation at the same time?
Good.
Well, Dana,
Good for
there's
the
always
governor.
multiple investigations that occur under these
He'll make sure the
issues,
evidence doesn't
in
get squashed.
Pennsylvania, for example, the state and local officials are doing their postmortems, their reviews of what happened, just like the Secret Service did theirs. But, here's how I look at this issue, Dana. We have to actually ask a couple of key questions. The first question is, were protocols followed? Did Secret Service and local law enforcement in either of these instances do what they were supposed to do? If the answer to that is yes, and actually in Butler, we think the answer to that is no, but we don't have enough information about this incident yet. If the answer to that is yes, then the next question is, are there actually enough resources to get the job done? Right? When we have a heightened threat environment where the threats against members of Congress has quadrupled, the threats against presidential candidates has skyrocketed. We have a current president, we have a former president running, we have a vice president who's a presidential candidate, and we have all their families, and that's not even to mention all the vice presidential candidates. The Secret Service told us very clearly last week that they are redlined. Right? They are working overtime, double overtime. These folks are burning out. They need new resources. We need to get them help so that they can do the job that the American people expect them to do.
Congressman Kelly, I'll let you comment on that in just a moment, but I think everyone would benefit from hearing from the Palm Beach County Sheriff, Rick Bradshaw, yesterday on what he thought the Secret Service's role was and how he thought they did. Watch.
Well, you got to understand the golf course is surrounded by shrubbery, so when somebody gets into the shrubbery, they're pretty much out of sight. All right, and at this level that he is at right now, he's not the sitting president. If he was, we would have had this entire golf course around it. Well, because he's not, the security is limited to the areas that the Secret Service deems possible. But the Secret Service did exactly what they should have done. They provided exactly what the protection should have been.
So how do you see that, Congressman Kelly?
I
Do
didn't
they
hear
just
that
need
part
the more
before.
resources?
He's not the
or do
sitting
they need
president.
to change how they protect the former president?
Okay, so when you heard Jason talk, and I think we're of the same mind on this, look, the way they were deployed is what it comes down to. The fact that President Trump was a former president, but now is the candidate for the presidency this fall, so shouldn't there be a greater coverage of that situation? But I'm keep going back to is we keep hearing they don't have enough men, they don't have enough money, and I think that's absolutely true, by the way. How that money is deployed needs to be taken a look at. But in these cases, Dana, one was a very public event at Butler on July 13th. And then when you look at yesterday's attempt, this was a private, the former president going out golfing. How in the world do we get to the point where we have shooters at both places, one who knows all about it because it's so public, and another who shows up at an event where the former president of the United States is in a private golf outing event with a couple friends. That's an entirely different venue. The Secret Service did a great job yesterday, but in Butler, I think Jason and I agree on this. There was the preparation for that event came up very short, and it was Homeland Security that has jurisdiction over Secret Service. We need to take a look at who's talking to whom about what.
Oh yeah,
and what
well,
is it that they're talking about? When
if the
it comes
president
to
would call all of them together, maybe we would know.
Protected that
but of
day.
course,
it's
we don't
hard for me to
know.
understand the two different events. How we could have shooters at both places, one a very public event and one a very private event.
Well, you can
and yet
see
both
that this resources thing is going to be something that they keep hanging their hat on, which, I mean, listen, I know the least about it as anybody, but it just sounds like total nonsense, lame excuses to me about resources. Resources? There's one thing, again, I don't know how you can be $6 trillion in debt under this administration, $36 trillion as a country, and be complaining that we don't have the resources. Well, we certainly have the resources when we want to print all this money for all of these. Maybe how about the new Green Deal? Is there any money we could take from that and provide some resources to the Secret Service? How about the money we're sending to New York City for the Roosevelt Hotel? Is there any resources we could take from that? We don't have the resources. What exactly are the resources to put another 100 Secret Service agents on the ground with Trump, or whatever the hell the number would be, when he does these kind of events? The guy's question about how the shooter knew that he was even going to play golf tomorrow, to me, is a much better question. But this idea of resources that they're clearly going to hang their hat on now, because obviously we've heard it from those two buffoons about 10 times in that 5-minute interview, seems like utter nonsense to me. How could resources be the issue? We've got resources for every waste of boondoggle we could find resources for, but for this week, resources. It's resources, you know. Seems nuts. Seems absolutely nuts. What the hell's the commercial I read every night from somebody? I think it's from our friends at Birch Gold, that there's still billions of dollars of unspent COVID money that Biden wants to push out. Well, hello? No, it's resources, don't you know? We don't have enough resources to put people on the tree line. And he's not the real sitting president anyways, you know. So, I mean, if he was, we would have had that gap in the hole in the chain link fence. We would have had that. We would have planted those new trees right away. But he's only the guy who's a threat to democracy. So we left it open, and we don't have the resources. And if the guy gets in the bushes like he's Homer Simpson and he backs right into it, what can we do? I mean, this is what we're getting from these people? I mean, it's absolutely crazy. So, all right, let's see what else you guys in the chat. Remember, whatever you're watching on, if you can hit the like, subscribe, we appreciate it. I appreciate it. Share with your friends, comment, thumbs up. And good stuff. We'll get back in the swing of it. I'll be here every morning. I should be here every morning this week, 9 a.m. I don't think I have any morning, anything that should... How'd the odds makers guy do? I watched a little bit of it. He looked like he was good on Thursday. I don't think I have anything that will prevent me from being here each and every morning. So we'll get an update on the odds makers tonight. Mary says, yes, Damon, the main question is, how did he know President Trump will be at the golf course and time he planned on being there? Yeah, again, I didn't know this was going on because I was traveling back from Vermont and getting back to civilization, which up there is almost like you're not a part of civilization. But in the little that I've spent, I didn't even really think about that. How did the guy know that Trump was playing there or one of his other, I don't know how many courses he has in Florida. I know of at least 2 or 3, I think. How did the guy know how did he know he's going to be there? I mean, these are not public events. These are not things that I'm sure people know about. I don't even know if the press pool knows when Trump's going to play. So to me, that's a great place to start. He knew enough to be set up, to bring all this equipment. He knew exactly where to go. Like I said, that first comment that we started the show with, this guy gives me like Lee Harvey Oswald vibes. Like he's not just some loner who decided, nothing, I'm kind of bored today. Maybe I'll head down and see if I can take out the president. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. So, as Cash Patel always says, follow the money. Yeah, well, that applies to pretty much anything that happens in Washington. Yeah, he would have needed enough advance notice to travel. Yeah, exactly. Travel, get all the stuff together, and know that that's the day? How? Yeah, we've reported on it. That's why I said this guy gives me Lee Harvey Oswald vibes. It's not some clean hands, just loner who just kind of showed up. I think that's a hard argument to make, given the little information that we have now. And again, not to let's see here. How do I want to share this screen? Get rid of that. And let me... Can I share this? As we're sitting here talking about resources, it's all about resources. I mean, are my eyes deceiving me here as I'm listening to about resources? U.S. set to give another $1 billion in benefits to Haitian migrants. The Biden administration CHNV program allows 30,000 migrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela to apply for asylum monthly. Migrants with approved sponsors receive benefits such as Medicaid and food stamps. Over 520,000 migrants have entered the U.S. under this program since 2023, costing over $3.4 billion. Fraud issues caused a temporary suspension, but the program has since resumed. U.S. set to give another $1 billion in benefits, but we don't have the resources to protect a former president of the United States. Everybody, that's going to be the excuse we hear. We don't have enough resources to protect the former president. So. People are not having kids as much. Fertility rates in the U.S. dropped in 2023, and they have been on a pretty steady decline since the early 2000s. And as Elon continues to talk about population collapse. And of course, here is what we're going to talk about tonight.
When we talk about bringing down prices and making life more affordable for people, what are one or two specific things you have in mind for that?
Well, I'll start with this. I grew up a middle-class kid.
She don't like the word specific.
My mother raised my sister and me. She worked very hard. She was able to finally save up enough money to buy our first house when I was a teenager. I grew up in a community of hardworking people.
What are a few specific ideas you have to bring down the costs for people?
You know, construction workers and nurses and teachers, and I try to explain to some people who may not have had the same experience. You know, but a lot of people will relate to this. You know, I grew up in a neighborhood of folks who were very proud of their lawn. You know, and I was raised to believe and to know that all people deserve dignity. And that
when we talk about bringing down
I'm just going to remind you what the
and
question
making
was.
life more affordable for people, what are one or two specific things you have in mind for that?
people deserve dignity. And that we as Americans have a beautiful character. You know, we have ambitions and aspirations and dreams, but not everyone necessarily has access to the resources that can help them fuel those dreams and ambitions. So when I talk about building an opportunity,
I got to be honest. Maybe it's because I'm not, don't think of myself as any sort of professional journalist. I don't understand how you sit there, even for this long, having asked her a very specific, simple, basic question. When it comes to bringing prices down for the American families, what are a couple specific ideas you have to do that? Well, when I grew up, my lawn was very green and very... How do you sit there for even 2 minutes, or however long this has been, a minute after the question? You end the question at 8 seconds, and at a minute 12, she's rambling on, and you still haven't jumped in to say, I understand. Thank you. My question was, I don't even understand it. I do not understand it. I could never sit there and listen to this gibberish for a minute when my question was not difficult. It was not challenging. It was not hard. I didn't try to throw you off. I'm not trying to prove how smart I am to my other journalists in the media. I asked you a simple, basic question. How are you going to bring prices down? 2 specifics. Thank you. Go. And this is what we get, and he sits there and says nothing. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. All right, we'll look at more of that tonight. Get everybody else's thoughts. So, all right, looks like we're caught up. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me this morning. And I'll see you tonight, 8 p.m. We'll break down some more of that Kamala interview. I'm sure the guys will have plenty of other things to talk about. We'll recap the weekend. We'll recap the odds makers. The guys can recap their weekend over at the America's First Warehouse. Sorry I could not be there, but my trip was planned well before I knew that was even going on. So I apologize to anybody who was there. Hopefully you got to meet the other guys if you did come in. And I'm just getting back, obviously. And I'll see you all tonight, 8 p.m., Real America's Voice, live from Studio 6B on all socials, of course, and on Real America's Voice. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. We'll see what happens throughout the day, and I will see you tonight. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you tomorrow morning as well. See you tonight at 8.